Hey guys, Ryan here from Code Ninjas, and what we're going to do now is we're going to get some practice using these tags. I have a brief assignment to start you off. As you can see, I have some fruit in this folder. So these are all images that we are going to use when making this web page. So what I would like you to do is pause the video and go find 3 images that have something to do together to use in this web page. It can be whatever you want. Now, make sure to make it easy, make sure that the images are either PNG or JPEG files so that we don't have any issues with formatting. Go ahead, pause the video, and give that a shot. All right, guys, now that you found your images, let's go ahead and start bringing this web page to life. So the first thing we're going to do, what we talked about, is making good practice. So we're going to use all tags start with the greater than symbol. And for the document tag, you start with an exclamation point. And then you can see here, Visual Studio is going to help you out and comes up with a suggestion to say doc type. If you press enter right now, it automatically fills that in for you. So this is telling us and telling the web page that we are making an HTML document right here. And we're ready to get started with the rest of the page. Now, if you remember from the tree video, the first thing we start with is the head tag. And now let's give our page a name. So we're going to use the title tag. And in the title tag, we're going to say, my awesome page. You can make it whatever title you want, but my page is awesome, and I am declaring it now. And then the next thing we want to do to go along with the head tag is say we have a body tag. And we're going to take our hello world that we said we wanted, and we're going to put that in the body. Save the page. You can come over here and press refresh. As you can see, the page has not really changed at all. It still just says hello world. But let's look up here in the tag, or the tab. The tab now says, my awesome page. Cool. So we're starting to modify things. Now, let me show you a little bit about what else we can do. We mentioned earlier in the video that you can use this H1 tag, which creates a heading. And so to get an example, we're going to say heading 1. We're going to make a new line, and then we're going to use the H2 tag, and we'll call that heading 2. And we're not going to do all the tags. There's 6 different headings that you can make, as you can see here. But we're going to do heading 3, so we can just see the difference between all these different styles. Save the file, refresh your page, and there you go. You have heading 1, heading 2, heading 3. So this is great when you're building your web page and you want to make different titles and different sections. You would use the heading. But obviously, we don't just have headings. We also want to put some text on the page. Normally, when you're putting text on the page, you throw it into a paragraph, which is a tag that is represented by the letter P. And then you can say any text in here that you want. So this is my first paragraph. All right, so we have a paragraph in here, and we're going to save. And there we go. We have a paragraph. In this paragraph, we're going to put some more tags. So remember, we said we could nest tags however we want. And so here, we're going to make first in italics. So italics are made by a tag that's called EM. And we're going to take this first here, and we're going to cut it. In the future, I will use Control X. And then we're going to paste it with Control V in the future. And now I'm going to bold the paragraph. And the bold is a tag called B. And again, we will cut and paste, cut paragraph, and paste it into the bold tag. And we'll make our teachers proud and put a period here so we have a full sentence. Save the file. We'll come over and refresh the page. And now you can see, look, you've made an italic and you've now bolded the word paragraph, which is all pretty cool. Okay, so what are some other cool tags that we can do? Well, in the future, we're going to need to organize our page, and we're going to need to tell the JavaScript and the style sheets that we use what things go together and how we want to style them. And to do this, we're going to use a tag called the div tag. All the div tag does is to create a logical grouping for all the children inside of it. So we're going to cut our header, heading 3, and paragraph in there, and put this inside the div tag. Now, the cool thing about the div tag is you can't see it on the page. So when we save this and refresh the page, nothing has changed. So this is just a way to kind of keep your code together and see the things that are supposed to work with each other. So the next item we're going to talk about is list. There are two types of list. There is an unordered list, which gets the UL tag, and then there's also an ordered list, which gets the OL tag. So we're going to make 3 list items. If you remember earlier, I asked you to download 3 images. So here, I want you to make a label for each of those images. And how we're going to do that is in each list have what's called a list item, which is the LI tag. Now that we have a list item, I'm going to say I want to put in apples. I'm going to put in bananas. And lastly, I am going to put in oranges. Okay. And what's really cool, whether you're using a linked or an unlinked list, they all use the LI tag. So I can just copy and paste these LI tags into here. We're going to save the file, do a quick refresh, and there we go. You now see the difference. In an unordered list, you just get bullet points here because you don't care necessarily the order that they're in. In an ordered list, you get numberings. And in the future, we can tell you how to change these from using numbers to letters to Roman numerals, but that's how you would create them. So now that we have our list, the next thing we want to think about is spacing. So this stuff is all spaced exactly how it shows up in here. But what happens if I want this to go down further? Well, I could try to do this, but when I save, you can see Visual Studio here tries to help me out, and it shrinks it because, as you can see, adding extra spaces doesn't actually do anything to your web page. So how do we do that? What we're going to do is we're going to add a line break, and that is done by the BR tag. Now you'll notice I did something different here. I put a trailing slash on this tag. The reason why, this is actually the same as doing this. All right, so every tag that has an opening needs to have a closing. So here, this is the opening and the closing tag. But there's no children that go inside a line break. A line break is just a line break. And to do shorthand, you can do this to make sure that it goes a little faster. So in the future, if you see us do something where there's a closing tag like that, all that means is I don't need anything in between there, and therefore I'm just going to close the tag right here. So we're going to create 4 line breaks, and then we're going to learn about one more tag. So let's save this real quick and let's show you this. All right, we have our space here, but we want to make some other visual distinction. One of the things that we can use is the HR tag, which stands for horizontal rule. And if we save this, we now get a line. So now our page is kind of divided up. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to go use those images that we talked about. So that is the IMG tag. Now, the IMG tag takes what's called an attribute. So an attribute is some information that we give the tag so it knows what it needs to operate. So the image tag needs to know what kind of file we're uploading. So that's why we have the SRC tag, which stands for source. And you need to set it equal to, and then give it a string. in this file needs to know where to go grab it. If something is in the same directory, like the images that you put in the same directory as your file, what you can just say is period slash and then enter in the file name. When we talk about this in the future, this is what's called the relative path. And that is, where is the file relative to where your HTML page is? So let's go ahead and add images to all of our unordered list items here. So the same thing, create the image tag. We're going to give it a source, and that source is going to be the bananas. Do good practice there and close the tag. And then lastly, for the oranges, we'll do the same thing. Image tag with the source equal to / oranges. Okay, so we're going to save this file, refresh the page here, and now you can see we have a very large set of pictures that go with each list. In future videos, we can change the styling and show you how to do that so it doesn't look as awkward, but here you go. You may have a laugh. I don't know what size pictures you picked off the internet, but your list may look very interesting right now. All right, so there's one last thing I want to show you guys. So we're going to make some empty space here so that this thing doesn't go to the very bottom of the file. So we're adding in some line breaks here. And the last thing I want to show you is the anchor tag. So the anchor tag is A. And the anchor tag has an attribute called href. And what this is this is where the link is going to be. So for us on this page, we're going to put in the full URL of where we want to go. So here we're just going to use Google because everyone knows Google, and Google is pretty nice as a search engine. So we'll put in https://www.google.com. Now that just tells our anchor tag where we're going to link to. But the anchor tag also needs to take some text. So we're going to write in definitely not Google. Maybe. Okay. Definitely not Google. And we're going to save. And reload our page. And you can see here's our link down here. And we click it. We go to Google. And that concludes the basic tutorial of some common tags that you will need to know. In the next video, I'm going to give you some exercises so you can play around with some HTML that I've generated and learn a little bit that way while seeing a more complete page.